Ticklish business any way you look at it. Come on, we'll stick together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ticklish Business. As always, I'm your host, Kristen Lopez, joined by the merry and jolly Emily Edwards. Emily, how are you?
Normally, I'm described as cranky and curmudgeonly, so I'll take merry and jolly this go-round.
I love it. We are celebrating the Christmas season with a look at 1964's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But before we get to that, we would love to remind everybody about our Patreon at patreon.com/ticklishbiz that lets us do all sorts of fun things, including our bonus series based on a true podcast, double features, and It's Like a Classic, as well as our video interviews, which we're going to be doing a lot more video in 2026. Emily is a video whiz.
That is unrealistic expectations for my video capabilities.
Mine are none. So, yes, you are an expert as far as I am concerned. So we're going to be doing a lot more video next year, and your podcast dollars help us do all sorts of fun things. So please consider joining us at just $1 at patreon.com/ticklishbiz, like great friend Sean Goudreau, Allie Moore, Gates, I'm trying to think of a bunch of people off the top of my head, Chris McKay, all of you, we thank you so much. And of course, please remember that joining our Patreon means that you get special swag gifts that we are giving out as the holiday season approaches, and access to our Discord server, where I will probably be starting arguments about best and worst Christmas films of the classic era. So you're going to want to be a part of that. So it's at patreon.com/ticklishbiz. So Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
I realize this is a bit of an aberration because it's a television special
Yes.
and not a filmed thing that you went to the theaters for. So bear with us, guys.
True. I had planned this last year in honor of the 60th anniversary, and then we ended up taking an impromptu break because I was spiraling, and we never got to it. And I wanted to give Rudolph his due, so I decided this would just be our Christmas movie for this year.
Yeah.
It's the Rankin Bass Christmas special. This aired December 6th of 1964. Tells the holiday tale of the little Rudolph with his nose so bright, who is cast out by society and teams up with a sexually ambiguous elf named Hermie, who wants to be a dentist, as well as a bearded Yukon Cornelius, who's given some serious daddy vibes. They defeat the abominable snowman, all leading to Rudolph being of use to people and helping Santa deliver toys.
Yeah.
I have problems
all of this is
with
narrated by Burl Ives.
Narrated by Big Daddy himself, Burl
Yeah.
Ives. The inspiration for Elf, if you've seen that movie.
Like, did any person in classic Hollywood have as weird of a career as Burl Ives?
I don't know. Somebody could probably tell us in the comments, like, who had the weirder trajectory. But yeah, Burl Ives could play both the, like, kindly granddad and something like, or uncle in, like, Summer Magic.
Yeah.
And then he could play, like, this hot, sweaty, like, Lech in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. And then he could, like, also be the voice of Christmas.
Like, co-write every Christmas banger in the history of time. It was him and some Jewish guy from Tin Pan Alley writing, like, Christmas bangers.
Yeah, exactly. I think I just saw a documentary about that guy. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Burl Ives. He was an interesting guy.
Also, Burl. What kind of... I love it. Every Christmas, I'm like, I need to know the etymology of the name Burl. Like, where did this come from? Sorry for this absolutely random tangent. I am on so much coffee. It's ridiculous.
Somebody's gonna be all, actually, Burl is, like, got deep, like, I don't know, Mediterranean
Scottish,
roots or something.
Exactly.
Somebody wants to name their baby Burl in 2026. I would support
Go for
this.
it.
Like,
I'll give you
do
$50 if you do it.
Yeah, like, you need to have a really good last name, though, because if it's like
it's true.
Burl Johnson, that's not
work.
cool. That's
Burl
not cool.
Ives, though, man.
Succinct.
Perfect.
I have a love-hate relationship with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah.
And you know why. You know that I'm going to get on my soapbox. Shameless plug. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is not in my book on disability in film, but it should have been.
Should have been. Yeah. It's not my favorite Rankin and Bass.
No.
Like Christmas holiday special.
which is
Probably The Year Without Santa Claus.
ooh, I don't hear a lot of people celebrating that one.
No. No, 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 no. And it's just that one's kind of out of left field, and I get it, but that's my personal favorite.
I'm unoriginal. I love Santa Claus is Coming to Town
Yeah.
with Mickey Rooney and the Penguin Friend and
Yeah,
the
it's true.
Fascist, which, Meister Burger's looking pretty good right about now.
Meister Burger is absolutely hilarious, like, villain for a kid's thing. Like, it's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
Someone say he's a villain for our times.
Yes, I would agree.
But we're out of the Films of Resistance series, so
yeah, exactly.
Apparently we just need to bring toys to the children and we could solve some stuff.
Yeah, no lie.
But I always have a really hard time with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
As you should.
And I've rewatched it several times since. So, fun fact, my second favorite Rankin Bass special is the sequel to this, which is Rudolph Shiny New Year, which we'll talk about in a second, because the themes that are espoused in this movie just take a hard, triple, quadruple down in Rudolph Shiny New Year. Because this is a story about a reindeer whose nose glows. And you would think that he has, no leg, or he's got a fifth leg or something. The way that I love that their eyes literally start spinning in their head when they see. Yeah, they're like, your nose is glowing. We can't do. What do we do with that? I'm like, having a glowing nose is like having a, I don't know, deformed ear or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't affect anything.
No.
And I think that's where, as a disabled person, I'm just kind of like, do we consider Rudolph part of the community? I don't know, because the nose is really just a self-imposed, the society is calling it a problem.
Yeah.
It has no medical or logistical issue other than it glows.
Exactly. You don't need an ADA requirement to accommodate a glowing nose.
Right.
No. This movie so drives home the absolute nightmare of conformity of the 1960s. Truly does, in a way that you don't really realize when you're a kid. And then the second you watch this when you're 19, you're like, what kind of world did my parents of baby boomers grow up in? Oh my God. It really is one of those things where you sit back and you watch it. Same thing with I would say the Charlie Brown Christmas special, which, that one, I think we were discussing how violent it is and how Lucy threatens to punch people in the face constantly.
The parents in the community of the Peanuts band together in the Great Pumpkin to give Charlie Brown, and only Charlie Brown, rocks for trick-or-treating.
Yeah. Let's torture the one kid. It's super bizarre. And then, you watch this and you realize just how deep the message of conformity and usefulness during the Cold War actually is.
So it's so true. It's so true, because you think about where Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer started. This was a poem that was written in 1939 by Robert May for Montgomery Wards.
Okay.
This was a capitalistic, much like the conception of Santa being defined by Coca-Cola. This was all crafted by marketing, which I think is the funny thing, because it's a marketing gimmick, so it's meant to sell something. And in the 1930s, late 1930s, as you're getting into World War II, what is this story selling in 1939 versus 1964, which I think is really interesting.
I guess just the beacon of, I guess in 1939, you're coming out of the Depression. It's slightly more beacon of hope than it is intense microcosm conformity. So I would think in 1939, you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, as we're shutting down for the Blitz or whatever, and we can't have our lights on in our home, who's going to save Christmas but something that lights up at night? I don't know. I am pulling this out of thin air. I swear to God. But you are right that it is a wildly different world from 1939 to the 1960s when this is being made. And it also reminds me of the fact that, It's a Wonderful Life is another, like every dad secretly cries while watching It's a Wonderful Life every single year. And that started as like a short story that some guy wrote. And then he tried to like shop it around and nobody wanted it. And then I think it ended up getting printed into like Christmas cards or something like that. And it was like, again, this sort of like just pre-war thought exercise on really limited literary concepts of hope.
Well, and I think too the element of this starting out as a marketing advertisement, like commerce and capitalism factor so heavily into this narrative in ways
Yeah.
that you wouldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
Like this is the movie that crafted the TV residual system.
Yeah.
Burl Ives got residuals from this, which was pretty much just his deal. So, because they didn't have, it was new to the union, and after the first 3 times they broadcast it, no one else got residuals for the characters.
But it probably bought Burl Ives like a mansion in Palm Springs where he
Right?
could play golf.
Billy Mae Richards said that she only received about $400 in residuals. That's $10 a year.
Wow.
And everybody got about $1,000. And it really did make Billy Mae Richards salty about working on this film. She loved that she had impact on people, but she didn't really get anything. And that includes like products, other things. Like she didn't make
Yeah.
any money off of it.
Rankin and Bass, these sorts of Christmas specials became a tradition immediately. And it's very disheartening to sort of learn that almost everybody in the film was entirely screwed out of money and any kind of fame. Again, like this is one of the problems with being a voice actor. And I have a number of friends who are voice directors and they work heavily with like professional voice actors. And a lot of the times people who did a lot of voice work, they get completely cut out of the fame and success narrative. And again, one of the things that we're seeing a lot now with animated films is the stunt casting. So your leads will end up being someone who's super, super famous, and you'll be like, this famous movie star, Chris Pratt, is voicing Mario. And then all the background characters who they get paid a lot less are the people who are actual voice actors. And it's not really fair to the voice actors. I still don't think the voice actors actually have a contract with the union at the moment. They've been striking and trying to find a compromise with the SAG and the actors union for like years now. It's a really, really messed up system, and good to know that it goes all the way back to the 1960s.
I mean, and Billy Mae Richards ended up voicing Rudolph throughout all of the specials, really. I don't know if she eventually did get anything for
Fair
her
pay.
time. So I think it's understandable that this is the story of a person, well, of a reindeer who gets screwed over societally and financially. And the voice actress also got screwed over societally and
Hooray.
financially.
Hooray!
You brought up something to go off of that about how all of the Santa narratives involve some form of indentured servitude or forced labor.
They really do. So, like, every single culture in the Northern Hemisphere has a midwinter, winter solstice festival of lights. And so all the iterations of that are really, really fascinating and really, really interesting. And I like learning about all of them. That being said, the cultural domination of Santa Claus is really weird to me because every single Santa Claus tradition has the undercurrent of slavery to it. And I just don't understand why we don't talk about it more. I really don't. So,
Santa Claus, Wizard of Oz, Willy Wonka, all of them.
honestly, funny that you bring up Willy Wonka, but I won't go into that at the moment because I could ramble about this for an hour.
This is your Subway takes. If you're ever on Subway
This
takes,
is my hot
this is your
take from
thing, yes.
Subway takes. Exactly. It's like Willy Wonka is the most evil person in children's literature. However, one of the most evil people in folk tales is Santa Claus, and I'm going to call him a folk tale because there's no religion behind this whatsoever. That being said, so many, many years ago, the humorist David Sedaris wrote an incredible essay, and I think it was published in Esquire, and it's called 6 to 8 Black Men, and it is about him being in the Netherlands for the Christmas season, and they explain the tradition of Sinterklaas and the literal black slaves that follow Sinterklaas around during Dutch Christmas. It is absolutely incredibly bizarre, strange, and super racist, and it's honestly one of the funniest things you will ever read in your entire life. But only in the last 10 years or so has anybody batted an eye at the fact that Sinterklaas has slaves following him around throughout the Netherlands, which makes absolutely no sense.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because there's always been this kind of unspoken racial element to the Rudolph story.
Yes!
If anybody has watched Shane Black's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Michelle
Which I'll be
Monaghan's
discussing
character,
in Silver Screen Sleuths this month.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
But Michelle Monaghan has a whole monologue about how Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is essentially an allegory, for essentially racism.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, at the end of the movie, you can apply it to oh, Rudy's really good at basketball. Sign him up. But,
exactly.
And I'm just like, this is so very, very true. But going off of that, I think that, in 1964, the civil rights movement is still formulating, right?
Yeah, it's barely taken off yet.
Right. So I find it fascinating watching this today that if Rudolph is coded as a person of, as I keep saying person, he's not a person, he's a damn deer.
Fine. He's an anthropomorphized reindeer. I think you can call him a person. He's got a name.
Rudolph is coded as a person of color,
Yes.
character of color. But you also have these other characters, and this has been discussed kind of ad nauseum, and it always comes up when this starts airing. But also, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is the story of gay iconography.
Love the fact that we are 17 minutes into this, and we have touched upon so many things that I bet absolutely no one was expecting.
Racism, capitalism, we're going to talk about the LGBTQ experience, all in a 50-minute short film.
Woohoo! Brought to you by, I don't know, do you ever watch things that you taped off of television when you were, off of the VCR?
I used to before I found no way to play them.
That's a good point, yeah, and you suddenly lost your VCR in the early 2000s. But I don't know, I remember taping this and having like the 7-Up commercial with the dot that used to turn into, oh my gosh, these commercials are now just flooding into my memory, but that's another topic of conversation. But yeah, no, Hermie, there's no way to not read Hermie as queer. At all.
I mean, there's a great article on Film Inquiry that talks about essentially how Rudolph is the story of being gay in America. And it's fascinating that there is all this discussion about the quote-unquote gay subtext of the narrative. And I certainly see shades of that, though not with Rudolph as a character.
Yeah.
Rudolph, to me, is pretty much ambiguous, so much so that I didn't realize until I started researching that Billy May Richards was a woman, So, even the voice is gender
neutral.
Gender fluid.
Gender fluid.
Does that make Rudolph a gender fluid character?
No, because
I don't know.
Rudolph is extremely straight because I think he's so concerned whether or not this other doe that was born at the same time as him thinks he's cute. So I think Rudolph is unambiguously presented as heterosexual and desirous of the fawn-eyed doe in his abilities. However, we are going to point out that the Island of Misfit Toys is apparently Fire Island.
Well, so to quote from this Film Inquiry article, quote, "The reindeer and elf societies are fiercely heteronormative, with reindeer training enforcing gender roles and tremendous social pressure placed on mating. In elf society, girl elves exclusively wear pink and boy elves blue. Elf dancing emphasizes boy-girl pairings, and most of Hermie's fellow elves spend their time ogling the women. It's all we see of elf society, really, that and the crushing weight of capitalism." Hermie's rejection of the traditional elf lifestyle, therefore, also encompasses his rejection of heteronormativity.
Can
I
I just
love that.
say, being like a film or English major like we were in college means that you can argue with literally anything. I don't
Yeah.
think anything sets you up better to be like a politician than being an English major, because you're like, sure, let's talk about heteronormativity in the swing, spin the wheel, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer special from 1964.
Yes. To continue to read this excellent piece, which I'll drop in the comments, he meets Rudolph, and at the first official meeting of Christmastown's Gay Liberation Front, they sing about how society is sadly not created with queer people in mind. And all of this is, I think, really true. Hermie is the only one with a fabulous head of hair. He's
true.
the only one with, like, fey features. Like, again, is he a boy? Is he a girl? What is he? And he also wants to be a dentist, which I love that dentist is now some sort of queer-coded profession. You know, whatever, that's cool. But his whole thing is like, he doesn't want to make toys. He wants to be a dentist, which, that's cool. You do you, boo.
Yeah.
But him and Rudolph go, you know, and that's where I think if we see Rudolph's story through the lens of disability, you know, again, the struggle of the LGBTQ community and the struggle of the disabled community, different struggles with different backgrounds and treatment, but they are analogous struggles, you know, in terms of wanting respect and acceptance. So I get that they eventually do team up, but really the gay thing really takes it continues. It continues on more than Rudolph. I don't give two craps about whether Rudolph makes it back to Santa in time. It is all about Hermie trying to hook up with Yukon Cornelius. Yukon Cornelius is essentially given big bearded daddy energy.
Yukon Cornelius would be a terrible boyfriend. Like, a truly terrible boyfriend.
He's so committed to finding those peppermint fields.
I know.
You know,
there's gold and then there is.
Yeah. But he's definitely got that whole, like, I'm a lumberjack thing, you know, that's a big... But then you also have Bumble, who, again, like, he's got, like, hairy daddy energy, too. Like, they give him, like, little weird abs.
Yeah,
like,
they do, don't they?
Not really clear on that. Like, why are we sexualizing the abominable snowman? But, you know.
You know, probably in 1960s, they didn't realize that washboard abs were going to become quite that big of a thing. People didn't really have them in the 1960s. You look at like fit guys in the movies in the 1960s and they just like have biceps and like big man chest. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing.
This is about showcasing different conceptions of masculinity.
Yes,
you know?
it is.
This is a movie that starts with Donner, Rudolph's dad, being like, I'm gonna make a man out of you. We're gonna go to these reindeer games. And you're gonna, like, he even tells the mother when they lose Rudolph, he's like, you're gonna stay here, woman. This is man's
you
work.
stay in the cave.
And I was like, wow. Maybe we should get a divorce. How many divorces are there in Santa's, like, world, okay?
You know, also they went with Donner and not Dunder from the original 'Twas the Night Before Christmas poem. So I guess everything's revisionist here in Santa Land.
The reindeer games, I think, also could, there's an argument to be made about their queer coding, but they also continue my issue with the disabled politics of this movie. So the reindeer games are pretty much boot camp, you know, for the military you're going to be conscripted into with Santa Claus. And, you know, Rudolph has this plug covering his nose, which I love how his dad's like, you're going to learn to breathe through your mouth. You don't need a nose.
I'm going to talk with a perpetually stuffed up nose.
That's a good Rudolph. That's a pretty good Rudolph. But they finally get there and something happens. He meets his like alt-right best friend, Fireball, who
not named in the team. Fireball never makes the final cut.
I mean, I wonder why. Okay, he did not take rejection well, is what I'm guessing.
Fireball's a millennial and he never gets to move up to middle management.
They find out about the whole nose business, right? And they're like, oh, what are we going to do? Again, the eyes go really weird. And the head of Coach Reindeer or whatever is like, everybody's gonna keep playing except for Rudolph. You can't join in the reindeer games.
You're
and I was
kicked
like,
out of reindeer ROTC.
I was just like, so what I'm hearing is Rudolph has a hell of a lawsuit for discrimination.
It's true.
You know, And
Yeah.
instead of his dad calling up an attorney and getting that sweet, sweet Santa money, he's just like, I have no son anymore.
Get out of here!
Exactly. I'm just
I
like,
don't care how long your mother was gestating you. Get out of here. You're useless in our society.
I was just like, this needs to be shown in law schools as like, this is what employment discrimination looks
True.
like.
It's true.
So they go off on this journey, you know, for possibly like queer self-discovery or something. They hook up with Yukon Cornelius. They screw up with the Bumble,
Yeah.
who can't swim, and I'm just like,
All wild
Again,
animals can swim.
exactly.
Literally, all of them. Have you ever seen a rabbit swim? Adorable.
I was also just like, because like Bumble is outcast, and I don't know, it seemed a little
Gets
racist.
mutilated at the end of the movie. That's
Yeah.
something that genuinely upsets me. It really actually bothers me that the only way for Bumble to be enveloped into any kind of society is for him to literally be mutilated against his will. Like, it's not fair that he has to remove all of his teeth. It's really messed up.
And what's weird is that he actually gets punishment. You look at other Rankin Bass villains, you know, you look at like Snow Miser and Heat Miser,
Yeah.
or even something like Burgermeister Meisterburger, who is a literal fascist.
Yeah.
And it's all like they get redemption. You know, Burgermeister Meisterburger is like, I'm sorry, and they're like, cool.
Yeah.
What is it? The vulture thing, Eon from Rudolph Shiny New Year, like,
Yeah.
all of them have this real come to Jesus moment at the
Yeah.
end of this. No, Bumble has to be, like, hobbled forever, okay?
I
Well,
hate
and again,
this.
And again, removing the teeth, which, I mean, is also, like, something that they did in slave times.
Yes.
Again, I'm like, is Bumble coded as a person of color? Because we treat him like crap.
Probably. Yeah, we really do. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially because he doesn't actually do anything wrong. Like, you know, Yukon Cornelius goes down trying to fight Bumble. Bumble doesn't, like, he tries to scare people away, but he doesn't try to, like, attack, like, ruin anybody.
Also, can we talk about how they're all just, like, trodden all over his territories?
No
You know,
lie. Yeah.
Yukon Cornelius is sticking his pickaxe where it does not belong, and that is not a
Exactly.
metaphor.
And
That
it's
is
actually a metaphor for
actually-
Native Americans, if we want to go that far.
Oh, okay. We just hit on
People are
all-
going to be like, what kind of drugs did you take before you recorded this episode?
We're trying to make this work for a 51-minute children's short.
Listen, it's a really weird movie. The 1960s were messed up.
We have not gotten to probably the most famous element of this movie, which is not the Rudolph story. It is the Island of Misfit Toys.
Yeah.
So they probably have
Okay,
the best
deep breath.
song. They
Yeah.
have the best song in the movie.
They do.
They do. Which
It's weirdly haunting. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like in a minor key, and you're
Yeah.
like, why is it so terrifying?
Glee ruined it. If you've ever heard their interpretations, way too peppy. And so they go to the Island of Misfit Toys, which is, like its name implies, the toys where all the defective toys are there. And they
What
are
it
all
says on the tin.
that's what happens. And some of them, okay, that's just, I don't know, poor design work, which I
Yeah.
guess we're saying God is a really crappy designer. I'm not
I
really
was gonna
clear.
say, like, it is implied that these toys were designed thoughtfully by someone, presumably Santa Claus. Presumably that is what the Overlord does in this
Santa
community.
Claus God?
I think that's what they're implying here.
Ooh, okay.
And that God designed these toys to be unloved.
Okay, this sounds like eugenic stuff.
It really does, doesn't it?
'Cause-
This
'cause-
movie is so effed up.
So, like, the one train has wheels that are square.
Yeah.
There's a bird toy that swims.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a
all
gun
of
that
these-
shoots jam.
Yeah,
which, of
which
course,
honest-
why wouldn't you give your children guns?
I mean, also, what child wouldn't want to just throw jam in somebody's face? That sounds like that would make a crap ton of money.
Also, the
actually.
polka dot elephant is adorable.
Right?
It's-
They'd sell that
so
to Kate
cute.
Spade, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. And then there's Polly, the doll. who
no one
has-
ever elaborates how Polly is
Rankin
misfit.
Bass. Well, I
There's
forget if
lore?
it was Rankin or Bass, one of them has said that that the doll is there because she has psychological problems. Yep.
Oh my God. So
Yeah.
she's Valley of the Dolls. She's just basically on uppers or downers or whatever the situation
She's
requires.
a woman that's depressed. That's the problem, okay?
We gave her a washing machine and now she has too much free time.
Yeah, they're like, we couldn't get her a lobotomy, so we've sent her to the island of misfit toys. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's the worst visual imaginable.
So I have a real problem as somebody that, again, is disabled, hearing that, like...
Also,
What?
they're led over by a lion who's doing his job. Like, in what way is the lion? Like, the lion is just like, no, this is my island, and I allow the misfit toys to live here. I am not a misfit toy, though you could not tell by the aesthetics of my character design.
Hey, you know, disabled people can be horrible people too. So, you know, we are not all perfect.
One of the great morals of Kristen's, or takeaways from Kristen's popcorn disabilities, is like, no, disabled people are people, and sometimes they can also be assholes.
Exactly. Yeah, we should be allowed to see both sides equally.
Exactly.
But what I think is funny is that in the original airing of this movie in 1964, the movie ends without finding out what happens to the island of misfit toys. The movie just ends with Rudolph getting his redemption and, like, screw those guys, right?
Yeah.
But supposedly children started writing and learned how to mail letters. It was a different time. They were writing letters to the network being like, what happens to these toys? We are very alarmed and want to know. And
unbelievably sweet.
Right? And so they added in what you see in the airings today, which is Santa being like, oh, hey, I should probably go back for those guys that somebody shunned.
This movie is horrible. This movie...
It was, it's a lot. You know, and the other thing, too, there were a lot of changes with this movie that they kept tinkering with. It aired in 64, and they kept playing around with it, adding in and taking out scenes. But one of the things, we started this talking about Burl Ives.
Right.
And Burl Ives was not the original narrator of this movie.
What?
Yes. The original narrator was Yukon Cornelius.
Right.
And when Burl Ives expressed interest, they pretty much scrapped all of the recorded narration and songs that Larry Mann, who was the voice of Yukon Cornelius, had done, and they added in Burl Ives because it would make it more popular. And they hadn't sold it to a network at that point, so they figured a network was more inclined to buy it with Burl Ives attached. And supposedly those recordings still exist. They're owned by a private collector, and I would love to hear them one day, because I would love to know how that changes the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
Having it be somebody that was on the adventures and knew the characters, as opposed to just this anthropomorphized snowman, this precursor to Olaf, telling this story.
Because nothing moves units like Burl Ives.
Burl Ives. Which, I mean, clearly it did, because then they got, like, Fred Astaire to be the voice of the postman in
I know.
Santa Claus is Coming to Town. So, like, they clearly figured out stunt casting was what worked for them.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I mean, afterwards, this was all, I think the animation and the figures were all crafted in Japan or something. And, you know, it's 1964. They didn't save any of these things at all.
Actually. Okay, so after my house burned down, I dissociated for many weeks by watching one of those television channels that comes with, like, fire sticks and stuff like that. That was nothing but Antiques Roadshow. And if you go and you watch Antiques Roadshow, Lord knows where it was when this was recorded. I have no concept of space or time, but some of the figurines showed up on Antiques Roadshow, and they are so much bigger than you expect them to be.
Exactly. I mean, they really are, you know. And most of the figures are publicity copies, which they use for photography. There were 9 puppets that were displayed at the NBC headquarters in Manhattan. And at the time that they finished filming, they were gonna throw them away. But they gave them to Rankin's secretary, and she gave them to her nieces and nephews. And after they were done with them, they just stored them in this attic, and the heat melted a bunch of them together and they had to be thrown away. But in 2005, one of these nephews found Rudolph and Santa and brought them to Antiques Roadshow. That was actually in 2006. So it's a really old episode. And they were listed on eBay at the time, and their appraised value on Antiques Roadshow was between $8 and $10,000. They had been really damaged by rough handling and storage. I think Santa's mustache was missing. Rudolph actually was disabled. He had a couple legs missing, and they eventually got them restored. And now they still exist, and they were auctioned off at a certain point. And I think in 2020 they were donated to the Center for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta. So they still exist.
That's so cool. I cannot imagine a punishment for me worse than you have to make a stop motion animated film. Do you know how awful that would be? I know a woman who does and makes like award-winning stop animation films. I know actually a surprising number of people who do this. And I'm like, God bless you. You must have the patience of a saint. It would kill me. It would, honest to God, drive me insane.
Well, and the process that Rankin Bass use is different than most stop-motion animated films, because most stop animation films do it one shot per thing. So it's like click, click, move the, you're moving the head a little bit, it's click. Whereas with the Rankin Bass specials, they did it through a term they used on two. So you get two shots, then you would click. So that's where you get that real herky-jerky kind of appearance that they have, is because they were trying really hard to get it done as quickly as they possibly could.
I am shocked to hear that they wanted to do things under time and well under budget, considering they barely paid their voice cast.
Exactly. I mean, and Rudolph really had been a huge thing before. The song came out in 1949, performed by Johnny Marks. Then you had a bunch of like Viewmaster reels that came out throughout the 1950s. There were comic books. There was a Richard Scarry illustrated book in 1958. All of this is before.
I feel like I had a copy of that as a child.
Yeah, all of this is before they actually start doing these movies. Rankin Bass was a huge thing, and the success and popularity led to a bunch of other things into the 1970s, into the late 1970s.
Can I just say my favorite version of the song is the Dean Martin one that they play on KOST here in Los Angeles. He sounds so rip-roaringly drunk the entire time. And then at the end, he makes Santa German completely inexplicably. And he puts on this, really thick, bad German accent. It is so weird when you listen to it. And you're like, Dean, I'm glad you made $1 bajillion off of that, because it is freaking bizarre.
I have the Dean Martin Christmas songs on vinyl, and I'm going to have to listen to that now, because I usually just flip to side 2 and listen to his version of A Marshmallow World, which is a very underrated Christmas song.
I love that Christmas song.
It's great.
Also, a really good bargain basement vinyl that you can usually find in the 99-cent bin wherever you go digging for vinyl is the Robert Goulet Christmas album. It is incredible. I used to have it, obviously lost it in the fire. Unbelievable. His version of Silver Bells, poetry.
Pure
Gorgeous.
Goulet magic right
Pure Goulet magic.
So, to bring it back to Rudolph.
Why?
I mean, the movie ends about as you expect. Rudolph gets a girlfriend. We got to reassert that heteronormativity. Okay,
Exactly.
Hermie is allowed to be a dentist and also gets a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or at least just a beard.
A beard. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't necessarily think these two were having elf babies.
Lavender marriage. It works for everybody.
Lavender marriage, that works. That's fine.
Let's not bring back lavender marriage, by the way. I know there's a whole discussion about it on social media. No. Stupid. No. 1963, it was fine. Not in 2025.
And then they eventually come back to Rudolph in 1970 for Rudolph Shiny New Year. This is where my problem with Rudolph as a narrative continues. So at the end of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, what happens? We all know the story.
Yeah. He flies the sleigh.
The night
he proves
is dark.
His worth. Yeah.
The night is dark, it's snowing. How will Santa get all of his toys delivered?
And I just want to remind people that if it is foggy, do not turn on your bright lights. You will blind yourself. That's what fog lights are for. If you don't have fog lights, drive slowly with your lights off. You will not die. Anyway, continue.
You know, they're like, how are we going to get through? And Rudolph's like, looks like I got a nose for that. And he didn't ask for money, which honestly, I'd have been all, y'all berated me and discriminated against me.
It's
I'm
true.
gonna need a settlement.
Recompense, everybody.
Recompense, exactly. You ousted out the gay guy over here, okay? And you ousted out me. We want recompense, okay?
Yes.
But no, he does it because, like all disabled characters in movies and TV, his inner goodness just wants him to help other people. And they show no remorse. This is actually a trivia thing on the IMDb trivia page.
No one apologizes ever. Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Dunder, Blitzen, no sorries.
Exactly. And I was like, why is this a thing that we're feeling the need to put on the IMDb?
Because it was 1963 and white people felt no shame about anything.
The film has been jokingly criticized. No, I don't know about jokingly.
No.
In years after its release, as a story about how people are jerks to you until they realize you're useful to them. But in the movie, most of the main characters feel remorse for the way they treated Rudolph and go and try to find him before they discover his hidden usefulness to Santa.
No, I feel like that has a lot more to do with male progeny in a feudalistic society, but, you know.
So,
it's primogeniture more than anything.
So, Rudolph comes back. He's cool again. They're like, your nose is great. Whatever. Cut to 1970. Rudolph Shiny New Year. Okay? And every year I complained about this. Every year like clockwork. So if you've never seen Rudolph Shiny New Year, it is the story of the baby New Year, who is a literal baby. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
His name is Happy because...
Happy.
That's all you really need to know. Okay? And Happy is the new baby New Year, and they discover that Happy has big honkin' ass ears. And everybody laughs at him. And they're like, he has to wear a little top hat, okay, to go through life because everybody makes fun of his big honkin' ears. Well, he gets laughed at just one too many times, and he decides he's gonna run away. And so he runs away to all these little different islands that represent different periods of time.
What archipelago do they live in?
The archipelago of years past or something. Or lost years, I forget. It is called an archipelago, though.
Is it really?
Yes, I'm not kidding. Yes. So he goes to like 1776 land. He goes to the Three Bears house, which I'm like, what year did we experience Goldilocks and the Three Bears?
As a euphemism for New Year's.
I don't know. So, and he makes friends with like Baby Bear, who's Mickey Rooney, and like they're having a great
I mean, who else is it going to be?
They're having a great old time until Happy's hat falls off, and the bear's like, "Look at your big honking ears!" Ha! So he's totally like demoralized, depressed, missed all the does. Okay?
And he grows up to be Clark Gable.
I mean, that could be it too, played by James Brolin. Okay, so Rudolph is apparently now PI, and he's tasked with going to find Happy, or else we'll never have New Year's again, and the world
That's
will
not
die.
how time works, but okay.
Yeah, so he goes to find Happy, and he brings him back, and he's like, dude, I don't know what you're bitching about. Like, your ears...
Glowing nose. You just have
he's
ears.
like,
That's
I
a
had a glowing
really simple
nose.
surgery.
And then they, like, cut to, like, 10 minutes of recounting the other film because they clearly didn't have that story.
Do you
So they
remember last?
Yeah, so remember, I think this was, like, 5 years ago. And so he's like, this is what happened to me. It worked. Everybody likes me now. And, like, your ears are kind of funny. So, like, what are you gonna do? Just run away every time somebody laughs at your big honking ear? Okay?
I hate the
like,
American mid-century so much.
so this is 1970, by the
It's
way.
still technically the mid-century.
So that's the end of Rudolph Shiny New Year. The moral I always come off with is it's telling me to suck it up, Buttercup, and also your disability might be funny. So, like, if you can't laugh it off,
Best case scenario
how do
is
you
other
expect-
people can laugh at you.
Yeah, laugh at yourself so that people can laugh with you and not at you.
Ew.
And I'm just like, This is a literal baby, by the way. So yeah,
God.
Rudolph, I don't think is going to be hosting a daytime talk show anytime soon because
So miserable.
I think he might have been horrible at it.
See, this is why I like the Heat Miser movie, because you get a jaunty little song that gets stuck in my head all the time. Mr. Heat Miser. It's so much better than this.
In case you're curious, it's the archipelago of last year's, excuse me. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
This
actually,
sounds like something they hired someone to write in 15 minutes.
Yes. And this actually aired in 1976. Filmed in 75, aired in 76.
There are literally no excuses for this.
Yeah, like we're like knee deep in second wave feminism and whatnot. And
like let's cut him back down to size.
I'd love to think that Hal Ashby makes Coming Home and he's as like a direct response to Rudolph's Shiny New Year. Like, no, actually, this isn't helpful, Rudy.
They're like, there's whispers on the wind that they might start passing laws that we have to put ramps in places.
Yeah.
So let's cut disabled people back down to size. This is awful.
Yeah. So, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I feel he has left a trail of destruction in his wake. I don't know. I'm very conflicted about this reindeer.
You know, there are certain things that, like, I just kind of can't watch anymore. And Rudolph is honestly one of them, where it's like, every so often you just have to be like, let's put that to bed and we can grow beyond it. But granted, I don't think we're getting that much kids' holiday movie replacements. Like, every year I want to go on Disney and just like watch something that makes me feel like a kid again. And you know what? You can't do it. And it's partially because I'm 40, and it's partially because people don't really make that much like holiday special and stuff like that anymore. They really don't.
They really don't. And it's kind of funny to realize that the Rankin Bass era runs from about the original incarnation, at least, runs from about 1964 to their last Christmas story was The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, which was released in 1985. So it's not a huge length of time that they're making these movies.
Yeah.
They had other things like Mad Monster Party in the 1960s, but their Christmas output really is a truncated amount, and they ended up shutting down in March of 87. Arthur Rankin Jr., who was running the company, would kind of split his time between New York and Bermuda. Yeah,
Lucky
must
fella.
be nice. And he died in 2014, and continued to create stuff. Bass died in 2022. Most of the cast and crew from this movie is gone.
Yeah.
And there were attempts to buy the company. They paired up with Morgan Creek at a certain point. But currently, now their stuff is owned by Universal, which you wouldn't know that because you can't actually stream any of their stuff on Peacock. But so here's the thing. This is the fun thing about IP ownership in the world right now.
Glad you're bringing this up.
Rankin Bass's pre-74 library is owned by Universal. Warner Brothers owns the rights to the post-74 library. So that still maintains, though, that Rudolph and all of that is owned by Universal.
Yeah.
The Universal logo plays before this movie.
Yeah. Do.
But yet, you cannot actually watch any of these movies on their Peacock service at all.
Yeah, that's really upsetting. Like, I went to go watch Rudolph last night, and my husband like looks it up, and you found it for $8.99 if you bought it off of the digital version off of Amazon. And I was looking just on like the Apple, like search function, and Apple will sell it to you for $14.99, and that's the digital version. That's not even a Blu-ray or DVD. It's not even a physical disc. My husband was looking at me going like, if they sold it for 99 cents. Everybody in the world would buy it. Everybody would just be like, sure, even if you had to buy it for 99 cents every single time your obsessive 4-year-old wanted to watch it, like every parent would be like, sure, you can watch it 5 times. What do I care? It's 99 cents. But $9 or $15 to watch a television special is insane.
Just wait. Somebody's going to be all, if you had waited a couple of days, they would have had it on Peacock, like, because I know they take some of their Christmas stuff off.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know.
But we were Googling, but like it's literally not airing anywhere this year. Like they're not playing it on Peacock, or you can't choose to stream it, or not playing on actual broadcast television at any point this year. It's just, buy it or you're not watching it.
Exactly.
And that's a bummer, man.
Yeah, it's, again, bringing it right back around to the reason Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer exists. Capitalism. It was
But
meant
I do
to
have
sell.
to say, if you want to watch a really good special that is not that awful, I would suggest there was a kids book in the late 90s, early 2000s that got turned into an animated special, and it's called Olive the Other Reindeer, and it is adorable. If you want a relatively unproblematic reindeer-themed special for your holiday season, may I suggest Olive the Other Reindeer. It is adorable and filled with puns.
And, it also probably doesn't have an annoying song like Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, which I think is one of the worst Christmas songs of all time.
Yeah, no. I will go to bat for Dominic the Christmas Donkey because that is hilarious.
Emily, that song is awful.
No,
Stop.
It's not. But maybe you have to be Italian in order to find it really, really funny.
I was quite literally going to say the worst song is Dominic the Donkey.
No, I'm sorry. It's so wonderful.
Terrible. It's terrible. I usually am the one that's talking about how Wonderful Christmas Time is one of the worst. It's also one of the worst songs.
No, the worst Christmas song ever written, and I actually have an essay about this, and it is downright sociopathic, is Do They Know It's Christmas by Band-Aid. That song is evil, and it also funded a genocide.
Well, we got crowing about At Least It's Them and Not You.
Yeah. That song is legitimately sociopathic. Like, I will publish my essay that I wrote about it for my old podcast. I'll publish it on Ms. Emily Edwards. I'll put it on my blog so y'all can read it because it is evil. It is legitimately evil.
Send me the link, and again, I'll put it in the show notes with the Film Inquiry article over here about how this movie is actually a queer classic.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah. Bet you weren't expecting like 53 whole minutes about this, everybody. Sorry.
Exactly. We've been down some roads right now, but hey, keeping it fun. Overall, this is fine. This is not my favorite Rankin Bass. It does continue to prove my argument that Rankin Bass does not know how to write songs for women because the girl reindeer song is just as bad as the girl
weirdly
song.
Operatic.
Yeah. And they always get like a really subpar singer. I know the actress was only like 15. Yeah, but if you listen to the girl song in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which is very 70s, it's also not good. So they clearly don't know how to write female songs, but
how did they get this popular? That's legitimately now my overarching question about Rankin Bass specials is like, how bad was regular TV that this like was considered like knock it out of the park Christmas programming?
They only had 3 channels. Could be it. I mean, I don't know. My mom wasn't born yet, so I can't ask her.
God bless.
But I think it's fine. It's a Christmas classic. Y'all are gonna watch it, but I hope you watch it now with new eyes because you can't
with a critical
unsee
eye
some of these things. Emily, final thoughts on?
Oh, this is why I prefer the year without Santa Claus. Quite frankly. Yeah,
I love it. Listeners, you can let us know your thoughts on any of the things we've spoken about, as well as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You can email it to us at oldschool@ticklishbiz@gmail.com, or you can send it to us via social media at ticklishbiz, unless it's Twitter, where we are not on as frequently, but we do exist there at ticklish_biz. That's going to close us out for this episode. As always, we would love for you to support us via Patreon. Show us that you love the show, even if it's just for a month. We do stuff at just $1. You can join our Discord server. We are over at patreon.com/ticklishbiz. Hoping to do some more bonus content in the new year. I am always at Kristen K. Lopez, unless it's Instagram, where I can't get that handle, at Kristen Lopez 88. My new book, Popcorn Disabilities, is out in stores now. Please, if you have not purchased a copy, I would love that. That would be great. I'm trying to plan some more events in the new year so that everybody can get a copy signed. You can also order through Larry Edmonds. I tend to go through there a couple times to sign books. And my site, The Film Maven, at thefilmmaven.com, is where you can read all of my writing about film and all sorts of stuff. And Emily sometimes pops in there as well. Emily Edwards, where are you on the internet?
I am mostly on Blue Sky and Instagram at Ms. Emily Edwards. That's MS Emily Edwards, spelled EMILY, the traditional way. I'd love to see you over at MsEmilyEdwards.com, where I blog every single week about silver screen sleuths. I should have chosen something a little less tongue twistery, but I didn't. We are doing holiday month this month, if December. So we've got Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Home Alone and Long Kiss Goodnight, and also I think The Thin Man is going to be taking us out of the new year.
I love that you call Home Alone a sleuth film.
It's a crime movie, if you want to put it through that lens.
Okay, fair.
So, you know, Kevin has to figure stuff out, man, and it's a good little cozy mystery, quite frankly. He ends up catching bad guys. And so,
in a Christmas sweater.
In a Christmas sweater with tons of John Williams Christmas music that I should suggest you put on also as a Christmas album. It's quite good. That's really about it. We'll be taking it into the new year with a whole bunch of other new stuff there. That's really about it.
We will be back with our last episode of 2025. It's going to be a top 3 of our favorite classic Christmas movies. We would love your suggestions, so please get in touch with us however, and send us your favorites, and we will read them on the next episode. Till then.